Hey there, Karen E here. This is going to be a somewhat casual video. This is probably not like all the other videos I have on my channel, and this is a little bit risky, but I feel like doing it, so let's just get started. I basically want to try to predict the result of the US presidential election, which is happening on November 3rd, if you don't know.
It is Friday, October 23rd, 2020.
Okay, so it's a Friday 23rd today. All right, so the election is only about 10 days away. All right, so if you read the polls, every poll is pointing to the winner being Joe Biden, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you a little bit of insights in each candidate's Chinese astrology chart, and I'm gonna tell you a little bit about what I think and what I think who's gonna win. So we'll see. All right, so first of all, let's look at Joe Biden's chart. He has a typical successful politician's chart. In ancient Chinese astrology, they really value this kind of chart. In his chart, we see very strong energy of climbing the ladder, being a successful politician, and also strong support, nurturing energy, which is very important for this kind of chart, because when you have that very strong energy of the becoming an official, becoming getting ahead in the politics, if you don't have strong protection, you could easily hurt yourself, because that energy is a double-edged sword. It could make you extremely successful. It can also pin you down. Okay, and his core energy is in fire. So what protects him is yang wood. So because this yang wood energy is so strong in his chart, for most of his life, his political career is pretty cushioned. And that makes sense how, he has been in politics for 4 decades, right? And he's always been in the political arena, and because he has that strong protection. However, this year, 2020, is a metal rat year. So the metal energy, the yang metal of this year, is actually detrimental to his yang wood in his chart. Remember, we just talked about his chart. The yang wood in his chart is the protection, the cushion. So it's like, this year's energy is stealing or killing his cushion, his protection, which makes his political success almost becomes a curse to him. So if I just look at his chart, this year is not specifically his best year. However, overall, his native chart, like I said, is supportive of his career choice of being a politician. And, there's a lot more that I can say about his chart, but I want to keep this video short. Now let's look at Trump's chart. Trump is mostly a yin earth, and he has very, very, very strong earth energy, both on his heavenly stems and earthly branches. In a way, being in real estate is a much more suitable path for him than being a politician, because in his chart, the politician energy is really not that strong. Just like Biden, Trump also has a very, very strong protective cushion in his native chart. And in his case, it's the yang fire. Remember, we talked about Biden, his cushion is what? Is the yang wood. And this year, the metal is detrimental to the wood, so it kind of takes it away, okay? In Trump's case, this metal rat year doesn't have as bad of an influence to his native chart, because, according to Chinese astrology, fire is detrimental to metal. So the element of metal from the year is not going to cause any damage to him. However, his cushion is somewhat removed by his personal cycle, which started actually in 2014. And I find that really fascinating, because if he wanted to run for president in 2016, I think 2014 would be the time when he started getting ready. So he basically entered a new personal cycle to get ready for the presidential election, to becoming a politician, right? So that's really interesting. So when he entered into his new personal cycle in 2014, the element of that personal cycle actually melted away his protective cushion, which is the yang fire. So he has been without his protective cushion since 2014, which by now, 2020, he's pretty used to it, okay? Yes, his protective suit is also missing. However, it's not as sudden and drastic as Biden's. So, and another thing I find interesting is that, on Trump's heavenly stems this year, the most prominent factor is actually his ideas and his creativity, which means he does have a lot of mental capacity to fight his rival. And I don't see that element on Biden's chart. So when you compare the energy snapshot of this year between Biden's and Trump's chart, we notice that the Biden chart is very well suited for the political career. However, it seems like this year just suddenly takes away his protection. And in Trump's case, the political element is missing anyway. It's never been there, but this year he is kind of blessed with his own creativity. So that just makes it very interesting. If I just look at these two as two business rivals, I would say, Trump's chart is a little bit more favorable for him than Biden's. Now let's look at their earthly branches. Earthly branches are usually a reflection of how they feel. And if you look at Biden's chart, in his earthly branches this year, he's actually experiencing something that is challenging his career as a politician. And this is a direct hit on his career. While on Trump's side, his earthly branches are pretty flat. It's just full of his self energy, while Trump is full of himself, right? So obviously, I'm not surprised to see that kind of chart. But what's more interesting is that earthly branches, we have a metal rat here. The rat is yang water. And typically, guess what? Earth destructs water. Okay, so the water energy can barely come into Trump's chart because he has such strong earth energy serving as gatekeepers. And this month, the month of the election, is another earth month. It's the month of dog, and this earth energy is going to come into his personal chart, which is full of earth, full of self and companion, which means this is actually going to strengthen his support this month. If you just look at these two charts, I would say Trump has a higher chance to win because he's not as challenged and he's having more support from the universe. If you look at their lives, this year, neither of them are at the best point of their lives, okay? Especially for Biden, it's very challenging and concerning because the metal energy takes away his protective yang wood, which basically exposes his core energy, the yin fire, to the existing energy in his chart, which is the yang water. So his core energy is being challenged, while in Trump's case, his core energy is not being challenged. Astrology doesn't always determine what happens. So maybe Biden will win anyway, but even if he wins, he's gonna be faced with a lot of difficulties. And Trump is not having it that much easier. It's just he has a little bit more support. We'll see what happens. Maybe I'll be wrong because the universe always has a way to surprise us. What I want you to take from this is that when you are at a personal low point, like on Biden's chart, this is probably a time in his life where he's feeling pretty low actually. When you're feeling like that, it's better to stay conservative to preserve your energy. No matter what kind of energy you're presented with, there is always a way for you to flow with it creatively. If you want to get a reading from me to learn about your own chart and how you can navigate through the energy of your life, just go to my website, choosinggratitude.net/coaching, and book a reading with me, and let's talk about your chart, okay? Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I will see you in the next video.